some. Whether it could just use a tune-up or needs full service, let Lefty's Repair at Wadena help you out.
This is the Morning Sports Desk for Tuesday, December 19th. Basketball, and more basketball. Corey, you were in Staples for a Staples Motley boys basketball game. How did that go?
Staples Motley beat Bram last night. A fun game, 33-32 at halftime, CJ. Bram on the road had the 1-point advantage. Just a really nice first half of basketball. You know, I'm sure each coach probably had a few nitpicky things, but we're talking about games 4 and 5 on the season, or 5 and 6, whatever it is for each of those teams. And well, you know, things are it's early. It's totally fine. And I thought, but it had just a nice pace to it. Both teams were really taking advantage of transition opportunities when given, but were deliberate and patient in the half court, which I really appreciated. And then the second half happened, and Staples Motley ended up scoring over 80 points and winning by more than 20.
Wow.
The Cardinals just went ballistic in the second half. They took advantage of turnovers. They got some hot shooting, and I mean, they were just lights out. They're young. They don't have a senior on their roster. There's some good athletes coming in that we learned it during the football season.
Mm-hmm.
Some good athletes coming in the Staples Motley athletic program, and that remains true in the basketball program. I think that program's going to be in good shape by the end of the season. They're not that big, might be their only bugger down the stretch, but they're strong and they're athletic and it was fun. It was fun to watch that. From the last time I saw them was a week ago, and they were just crisper, which happens, you know, over the course of in the early weeks of basketball seasons. But also it's a new coach and it's a new system and a new everything, right?
Right.
And they just looked more crisp 1 week later than they did a week ago. So yeah, big win for the Cardinals last night.
Yeah, big win. And like you said, it's fun to kind of see a team make the progressions throughout the season and get to do some of that stuff and get to kind of start off and make those mistakes early, get to see them kind of build and progress. It's the fun part. It's why you like sports, is you like to see the improvement. You like to see things kind of pick up, and you like to see a team go from A to B and kind of crescendo a little bit. So that's fun. Yesterday I had a boy-girl doubleheader, as we were had some games over on the Superstation with New York Mills hosting Parker's Prairie in a boy-girl doubleheader. I thought it was handled well by Mills and Parker's, just in the fact that the JV games were in the side gym, the extra gym.
Nice.
Which means that the varsity games started right on time. So selfishly for me, like, my clock was like, okay, we're right on time. I can prepare for the time. And then also I can just, you know, when it's done, and we can get out of there. Because it's a Monday night. I think everybody realizes nobody wants to be there till 10:30 on a Monday night.
Right, exactly.
Especially because I think Parker's Prairie girls have to go to Hancock today. So I think
that's exactly right.
Yeah, so I think nobody wanted to be there later than it needed to be. So anyway, the actual game started off with the girls. It was Parker's Prairie at New York Mills. And just overall, a really good game for Ayla Olson. She had over 20 points, some good defensive stops. What I thought New York Mills did really well in that game is they just controlled the boards. They got a lot of second chance points, and they were able to take advantage of it down low. I mean, it was a back and forth game. Parker's Prairie with second year coach Hunter Hagenmiller, BSU guy. Just want to put that in there.
Yeah.
I thought that they did a good job countering things that Mills wanted to do. They would a few different points in the game kind of make a comeback. They tied the game up, and when it felt like they would have a chance to take their first lead of the game, New York Mills would always just find a way to counter, even if it was just one basket. Just a way to kind of every time, just to, like a big brother kind of holding his hand on the forehead of the little brother, like, you're really close, but like, I'm just going to keep you far enough away. And so they were able to win the game for New York Mills. On the boys side of things, so New York Mills girls won that game 47-37. Game number 2 was the boys. And Parker's Prairie, talking with Coach Drew Johnson, they're 3-2. He said, honestly, like with the games that we lost and the situations, he felt like they are a team that should have a couple more wins on the ledger, but trying to get a chance against a section opponent against New York Mills, a rematch of the section title game in football for 6A.
Sure, that's right.
With both those teams. So a little bit of rivalry there. And you can see it. Those are teams. New York Mills, they had the lead early, and then in the second half, they were tied 21-21 at halftime, and then Parker's Prairie led the entire second half and was just kind of able to not run away with it, but they were able to establish a lead and hang on. There was a close play at the end of the game. There was 3.5 seconds to go. Mills buries a 3 to make it a 3-point ball game. 3.5 seconds on the clock, coming out of a timeout, and Parker's Prairie tries to just kind of throw it to the other end of the floor. New York Mills doesn't have any timeouts. Like, let's just make them get the ball and run out the clock on themselves. They won't be able to get a good enough shot up. And if they do, I guess. New York Mills got a good shot. They got the ball at halftime, at half court, were able to take a couple dribbles and get a shot up and off the front of the rim.
Yeah, it was close, huh?
Off the front. It was close. I was ready with my call. I was like, for the tie off the front of the rim. Trust me, Mills fans, I was disappointed too. I want to have a fun call. I want to keep that game going into overtime. But Parker's Prairie played well. They get the win in that one. And that's our doubleheader. We got another game tonight. I have Wadena Deer Creek hosting Hawley. That's a Section 8 AA game. 2 section games for the Wolverines this week as well. So, the December games, I think every coach doesn't want to hold too much stock into them because the Christmas break is really kind of when we talk about this all the time, is really when teams want to kind of, all right, here's some games. We have things on tape. Now let's go into practice and let's iron out all the things that we feel like we could be better at so we can hit the ground running in January. But, you still got to play the games tonight, and we get closer and closer to the Christmas break.
So what is the game tonight again in the schedule for that?
So Wadena Deer Creek hosting Hawley. It is on KWAD 101.7 and AM 920, 7:15 pregame and a 7:30 tip-off.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Speaking of cool and fun, Timberwolves.
Yeah, what's going on with them?
They had a 17-point comeback on the road against Jimmy, you bleeping need me, Butler.
Hashtag heat culture.
Remember, there was a play. Karl Anthony Towns had a play in the corner where Jimmy Butler, I believe, was on him. Maybe it was somebody else. Just worked him in the corner, wanted to drive in, pulled back, step back 3, late in the fourth quarter, under a minute to go, to just kind of keep the Heat at bay. And somebody said, oh, you made him look like a third stringer on that one. In reference that they'll talk about that Jimmy Butler practice. I always have a tangent about this. Everybody talks about the Jimmy Butler practice where he took the third stringers and they whooped up on the first stringers. Entirely Jimmy propaganda. Entirely manufactured story. But everybody ran with it because it's so fun.
It's like, who cares if it was even if it was true,
right?
You've been to an open gym before. We've all been. It's my ball. It's my floor. There's nothing anyone can do. And you have to decide at that very moment, am I going to get in a fight at open gym?
Mm-hmm.
That's all this was.
That's clearly what the guy wants, is to get in a fight with me at open gym.
That's all this was Jimmy Butler just coming in, and he had decided that day he was getting in a fight. And everyone else decided, you know what? Today's the day to not get in a fight.
Right. People talk about Jimmy being like, oh, I can't win with Cat, blah, 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 blah. And I can't play with him. He's too soft.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You can't win with him.
Yeah.
Loser.
You can't win with Cat, despite the fact that Cat may arguably be the best offensive player on the Wolves this season, on the top team in the NBA. The Wolves, Corey, are 20-5. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that. People keep telling me the record. The Wolves have been first in the Western Conference for a month straight.
Mm-hmm.
And
dabbled before that.
Right. And also, I know people talk about, well, they beat the Sixers without Embiid, or they beat the whoever without whoever.
Sure.
That's a full healthy Miami Heat team on the road, 17-point comeback to win. They've had a stretch of games where they beat Luka on the road. They beat the Pacers at home, crushed them. They beat the Heat on the road. They're going to go to Philadelphia in a day. But we talk about this tough stretch that they kind of have over the next couple weeks. And right now, they're at least putting themselves in a good position where even if things don't go well in the second half of it, you go, all right, well, they played fine in that stretch. Like they're just attacking things. Everything about this team is just so much different than a year ago, despite the fact that all of the players are, I mean, I know there's no Taurean Prince. There's, Shake Milton and Troy Brown Jr. They don't
know that.
They're
no offense to them. They don't.
The core, the core is the same.
There's how many teams in the NBA?
30.
They all have 3 Shake Miltons.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No offense to Shake Milton, who's an awesome basketball player.
Right. But the point is to say is this is the exact same team as a year ago, and everything is different. And I guess, Corey, why do you think that is?
Easy. It's easy. Health.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the Timberwolves have been kind of not healthy, because Ant missed a lot of time,
right,
and McDaniels missed a bunch of time. It's familiarity with each other. Like this is now into year 2 of them all being together. Rudy's healthy. They've just been around each other. They just understand what each other needs on the basketball floor a little bit better.
Right.
Last year at this time, and leading up to this time of the year, we were saying, let's give them till Christmas or the New Year to sort the world out a little bit. Cat, I think by this time of the year was already hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt on like Thanksgiving week last year.
And was going to go on to miss 60 plus games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they went an entire season without playing. Then they closed out with everybody together, still dealing with some injuries and things.
And believe it or not, it was a mess because they were trying to figure stuff out too late.
It was a mess. So now here we are. I'm still willing to give it till Christmas or the New Year for them to figure each other out. It just so happens that maybe they figured it out a little early with each other, and it's shown in their record. The next thing for them is going to be, how do they handle people the second, third, and fourth times now, because they're not going to catch anybody by surprise after the New Year. Everyone's going to understand that here come the Timberwolves.
You're going to have a little target on your back.
You're going to have a little target now. They're going to come get you. You've literally never proven it ever,
right?
As this particular team or a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to come after you, and they're going to push your buttons in ways that haven't been pushed before.
Right.
And how are they going to handle that when they get into what they've proven more than anything else is that this team is at least legit.
They're legit.
Does it mean they're a 1 seed? Who knows? Does it mean that they're a play-in team? It means they're better. They're probably somewhere between a 1 seed and a play-in team.
Right.
Which is what we all thought they were anyway.
Exactly. And
or hoped they could.
The over-under for the win total. The over-under for the win total for the Wolves is like 41.5, or is it 40.5? It was somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, and I would have smashed the under.
Right.
Wrong.
And exactly, they're 20.
Just about everything I've said about the Timberwolves as of today for the past 2 years has wound up to be incorrect. So good job, me.
So you got all the bad takes out of the way. Now it's time for the good ones.
I was right about everything a year ago for an entire season.
Right.
And 1 year later, 1 season later, it's like, well, let's go ahead and delete those podcasts.
The 2023-24 Timberwolves are 20-5. The 1993-94 Timberwolves were 20-62. We've come a long way, friends.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
We've come a long way. Remember, I mean, the Wolves, when they had like 18 wins, it's like, oh yeah, some years this would be all the wins they'd get in an entire season.
Yep.
And now we're not even to Christmas yet.
Hey, this is
enjoy the ride.
Why sports are important, and why what happens in the past doesn't matter, win or lose.
Right.
This is why teams and coaches very annoyingly say 1 game at a time, whatever. Like you're right, in whatever year that was, they only had 20 total wins, but those guys, this roster wasn't even alive.
Yeah.
Literally. They were in diapers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who cares? It's fun, and they can score 108 points. What they win last night? They scored 112 points.
Yeah, 112, 117.
That's not a lot of points. That's not a lot of points to come away with the victory. So what they're doing on the defensive end of the floor is the reason why they're as successful as they are.
Right.
Getting Ant back to full strength and having a full roster of players back and healthy. The offense is likely, hopefully, only going to improve. But what they're doing defensively is the reason they're.
One last stat, and then we can kind of recap and call her a day, Corey. The Miami Heat, with Jimmy Butler all time, are 1-4 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh, man. That's good to say. It's good to say. I really wanted to like Jimmy Butler. I really did. Anthony Edwards said it best one time when they kind of got in like a little back and forth on the court one time. And after the game, they asked Edwards, like, did that upset you? He's like, oh, no. He's like, no, I realize he's a fake tough guy. He's a fake tough guy. And the Wolves are proving that, which is cool. So there you go. This has been the Morning Sports Desk for Tuesday, December 19th. It's 7:31 on KWAD. Here's M&N News.
Backers won around Monday in the legal battle over the planned Polymet copper